Hello, Chunk Flunkins. I am doing well and actually feeling grateful. I just got a notification just a minute or two ago that I have a new member in my Discord, a new supporter, and thank you for your generous pledge. I would normally send a message and welcome you on the Discord, but I was just getting the stream set up. So welcome and thank you. Unless I'm misreading signals here. Anywho. And the other thing is that, yes, I do this stream every Sunday night at this point. If I'm not going to do it, I will announce it. But I do keep forgetting to put reminders out. Oh, okay. Well, I'm still grateful for your support. Being a supporter for a while is also very much appreciated. Anywho, it's going to be a little bit low key tonight. I'm a little congested. My left eye is oozing, and I have a sick kitty who may need some emotional support, so this might be a little bit low-key tonight. And I'm thinking I really do need to remember to put out notifications every week about upcoming events and stuff. Well, I will get better about that. I am sorry. It is my goal to finish Hollow Knight and Silksong come hell or high water, Junk Flunkins. So. I'm trying to remember. So, when we last finished, we had gotten the Crystal Dash. There we go. I almost forgot how to do it. Meanwhile, I'm in Act 3 of Silksong. Finally. It only took me 17 hours to get there this time. Anyway. So, we had just given Sly his shopkeeper's key, right? And bought some stuff. Okay. Alright. So here we are back again. We had just finished Crystal Peak. And obtained the Crystal Dash. Then we came back here to Dirtmouth to drop off Sly's key. We unlocked some items there. And we had observed that there was this drop-off and this area beyond it that now we can cross using the Crystal Dash. And the thing is, this is one of those places where I find myself a bit torn. But really, okay. We're not going to be torn, but we're going to talk about the tornness, because the tornness of this moment, hello Avatar Cliffy. The tornness of this moment is fairly typical of Metroidvania type exploration based platformer games. And you always face this moment when you find a new power-up where the decision is, do I keep going forward as the game is leading me, assuming the game is actually good about leading you forward, as I argue that Hollow Knight mostly is? Or do I instead return to previously explored areas and see if there is anything new and accessible? And there is... I am actually just going to post a quick Discord message just to let folks know that I am indeed streaming. Just because usually people have shown up by now, and it seems like some people have... Oh, Procelis did just put in a message. Okay, so yeah, he's... Okay, it's fine then. Alright, let me catch up live. Where is the chat? Okay. Alright, sorry about that. Okay. So the decision. Do I go forward where the game is leading me next? Or do I turn around, go back, and see what things I can access now that I have this new ability, that new ability, what have you? I actually kind of regret not having the compass now. Kind of have forgotten the layout of this place just a little bit. But I think, yeah, we're just gonna get a little laser zap here. That's fine. Yeah, this is fine. I'm at my normal level of skill right here. Alright, is this where the bench is? Or, nope, this is not where the bench is. I should have gone up instead of down. Okay. It's fine. Everything's fine. Nothing is ruined. Okay, so do I go forward? Or do I head back? That's it. That just derailed the whole thing. Especially with the... I just took a little bit of medication to clear my sinuses and my nose up a little bit. Whoops. Okay. Alright, this is just how it's going to be tonight. Okay. Do I go forward or do I go... You know what? We're just going to restart the whole stream. Hi, welcome to Angry Sucks at Hollow Knight and doesn't remember where he's going and wishes he had the compass and has forgotten the layout of the whole game and can't play for shit. There's a bench down here, right? Yeah, this is where the bench is. Okay. Whenever you get a new upgrade in a Metroidvania platform, we're just pretending that everything before now hasn't happened, and we're just picking up from here. So whenever you get a new upgrade in a Metroidvania platformer, you always face this decision. Do I continue to move forward in the direction that the game wants me to go? Assuming the game is good about leading you in a particular direction, as I argue Hollow Knight actually is for the most part. Or do I head back to previous areas and see if I can unlock any new areas or find any new upgrades? And Hollow Knight actually has already kind of made it clear that there is an advantage to going back either to look for upgrades or instead to go back with the upgrades you have to challenge things you couldn't do before. It's one of the clever things about the game leading you back up through the Forgotten Crossroads after you finished the city... Whoa, I almost recovered that and didn't. After you finish the City of Tears, and now have the claw grip and the zippy cloak and the other the butt stomp. Wow. Oh right. These things, they get a bead on you. They shoot you. Let's stand still and heal in its aggro radius. There is a danger in doing that, though. in going back to a previously explored area, and I mean a danger from a game design perspective, not as a player, though the danger is as a player. Because, and we're going to zip across here now that I have the ability to zip across things, and we find this place. I don't remember what even is here. Okay. Oh, okay, I remember what it is. Okay, so we're just... Right. I was going to slide down the walls, but that would have been terrible. So, as the game grows more complex, it is harder and harder to keep the game, all of the different directions you could go in your head. This is the standard ever exploring or ever expanding explorable area that I've talked about before. Right? So, as long as the player kind of stays on... Whoa. Okay. It looked for a moment like I was actually handling that okay, didn't it? And then it all went to shit. So as long as the player kind of stays on the critical path and one thing keeps leading to another, then it's unlikely that the player will kind of lose the trail and end up flailing around having to re-explore the world to figure out, well, where the hell am I supposed to go next? But if the player reacts to a new ability by going back to a previously explored area, and then that leads to another previously explored area, and so on and so forth, then gradually the player gets farther and farther from that critical path, and then, depending on how long it takes, they may end the play session and start a new play session, and then have to struggle to remember where is that next spot on the critical path. So there is almost a incentive when you're designing a game like this not to make it too easy. Oh no, I didn't want to... Damn it! Yeah, and I didn't even comment on what I just found. I'm not even talking about what's happening in the game right now, except the parts where I'm cursing because now I have to go back through... Up. That was great too. Okay. You almost want to kind of make it hard for the player to go back and do that sort of exploring the previously explored world, unless you... Oh yeah, right. Let's not fuck that up again. Unless that's really where the next... Yeah, I'm aware. I'm aware of it, Kate. It's just not something I do because I suck at games. Kate is telling me I can pogo off the spiky side of those things. I know players can pogo off the spiky side of those things, but, not me. Anywho. So now, by the way, we are in a new area. And it's not immediately obvious what this is, but it does connect. I think this is the tram. Anyway. Alright. We'll take in the new area for a bit, and then I will return to my discussion of the paradox of re-exploring. Okay. Because this actually is a very significant area. This area does something very important in just a moment. Okay. I like how it locks us in too. We can't not engage. And we may recognize now those symbols, those three masks, several times. Right from the beginning of the game, we saw them when the Hollow Knight, or when the something was screaming in the opening cutscene, and we saw them again when those weird ghosts appeared after we picked up the Dashi cloak. And now we have a monument to them, the three dreamers, Monomon, Lurien, and Hera. Okay. Hello, Dahagley. I'm giving us all a chance to just read and engage in the story. Not that we have talked at all about the story of this game, which is, of course, the least interesting and least important part, except, of course, for the message that a father's love ruins everything, which is the ultimate moral of this. Nothing fucks up the world like a father's love. Whereas, of course, the theme of Silksong is a mother's love just saves everything, doesn't it? Fucking modern audience bullshit. I'm kidding. Don't cancel me. I was half expecting YouTube to just take the stream down at that point. Okay. All right, I have to press a button. You know, I never noticed it, but it never says speak. The little context command when you approach an NPC and you can hit a button, it doesn't say speak or talk. It says listen, because the little vessel, he never talks. Huh. I never noticed that. It's very clever. And she is explaining the... Stay a while and listen. I sense a soul in search of answers, right? This we're doing Diablo, right? Oh, what can I do for you? Okay, so now we get a little bit of a tutorial in the whole dream nail thing, as we now find ourselves in this new area, the resting grounds. And I really like the mix of pink and blue in this area. So the first thing we learn is that when we dream nail these little, what she calls the whispering roots, the wagon wheel trees, that we've now seen a couple of them at least. These little weird essences will pop out, and then we can collect them all. And it's also cool how, like, it's very reminiscent of, like, a red coin challenge from, like, Super Mario 64 or the later Super Mario games, where you would hit a button and then a bunch of red coins would appear, and then you have to go through all the platforming quickly. But it isn't timed. As long as you don't leave the screen, the essences don't disappear. And then we gather 20 essences. And then if we go back, now the tree has grown, and we can swat it again and get a little bit of completely meaningless, indecipherable lore about the area we're in. But she wanted us to find 100 of these things, and that was only 20. And now she will explain to us that if we find monuments, graves and monuments, we might be able to get more essence, including the monument that we had just seen when we dropped into this area. So it's doing a good job of kind of tutorializing the whole dream nail thing, which is very important. And we also find this charm. it is a little bit more heavy than previous tutorials where it just kind of gives you an ability and then gives you an area to play with it. But it does actually need that because the dream nail is a little bit more complicated. But for that... Oh, Cornifer was here. He would have sold us a map, but we missed him. So we don't have the map for this area. Which is subtly pulling us back toward Dirtmouth before we explore any further, which is interesting, especially because it gives us the stag station. I didn't think about that, and I kind of don't like it. And if we dream nail NPCs, we get a little thought bubble. We can find out what they're thinking. But we're gonna keep exploring the resting grounds with this here. Oh, the other thing that was noted is that the dreamers have now been added to our map. Right? So now we have these dreamer goals and we have the black egg and the Hollow Knight goal. So the game is gradually giving us goals, and we'll come back to the dreamer goal after we explore a little bit. Because I want to go back to that idea about the conflict between moving forward and heading back to kind of loot the world. Because from a game design standpoint, the more players do that, the more you risk them getting lost and frustrated. And you never want, in an exploration-based game, you always want the player to feel like they have some idea where to go next. Okay, there's nothing that kills an exploration-based game like them not knowing where to go next or what to do. Okay, that leads to frustration. If they're wandering of their own accord because they want to explore, that's great. But if the player is ever in a position where they're like, well, I just have no idea where to go now. I keep forgetting I have spells. I also keep forgetting how to play this game, and I keep forgetting that I'm not good at it. And I also keep forgetting I'm not Silksong, who is much different. And I also keep forgetting that healing is not just a tap of the button. Okay. This is not a hard boss either. Okay? This is like the easy dreamer. So, like, it is embarrassing that this is giving me challenge. Also, I feel like I usually have the upgraded soul shoot. The upgraded fireball spell by the time I do this. Because I could have gone back. Yeah, I could have gone back. My thoughts are all over the place. Okay, that wasn't so bad. So this dreamer thing too, like, I hate the dreamers. They're actually terrible, lame kind of bosses. They're all very similar. We'll probably talk about it at some point. And they exist just so you can gather essence so that you can level up the dream nail, which, well, it's not just leveling up the dream nail. We will also unlock various prizes with the penitent moth. But, oh, right, I keep forgetting I have the crystal dash. Boom. Okay. So, and we have seen before where Hollow Knight actually gives us moments where it's like, okay, why don't you now go back and re-explore the world before you carry on? Which is why it funnels us back up through the Forgotten Crossroads before it sends us off to the Crystal Peak. And it has a tendency to do that a couple of times. Where it... Okay, and now she wants us to collect 200 essence. And this, too, this little fetch thing, and the opportunity to go back to the world now, the game is sort of pushing us back to go maybe consider re-exploring before we carry on any further. You know, it wants us to go, hey, go gather the essence. You've probably seen a few tree roots. You've seen at least one other monument if you were exploring the fungal wastes carefully, maybe a second one. Why not go back and see what you've missed? Oh, I didn't want to come in. I wanted to go into the map shop. So this is as good a time as any to do it. But again, we sort of run the risk of losing track of where we're supposed to go. Especially because I didn't come across anything down in the resting grounds that looked like a path forward. And I think this is one of the places where the game's forward path actually does really run the risk of stalling. Because what you're supposed to do now is you're supposed to drop down through a hidden gap in the resting grounds, go to the right-hand side of the City of Tears, and then link back into the City of Tears, and then there's other stuff from there. Okay. But the game has now pushed me back out into the world. It said, hey, why don't you go look around for more of these essences and roots, and, you know, you have a bunch of upgrades, and maybe there's other stuff you can do, and maybe you'll also find the other way forward. So it's really a place where you can forget now, or even not have noticed where the path forward is. What makes it even more difficult is that by adding the fast travel system, which was added after they designed the critical path, remember, by adding the fast travel system, you make it super easy for the player to at any time go back to any previously explored area and just keep looking around, which again creates that risk that the player is going to basically lose the plot, like lose the next direction that they're supposed to go in, right? But so be it. Ultimately, I still think the critical path in this game is very strong. But then there's the other issue is now the game oh, hey, what is this? Well, let's finish getting the essence first, and then let's go sit on a bench before we go that way, in case what that is something troubling. Something dangerous. I also wish there was more than just a sound cue when you got the last essence. Because when you get the last essence, there is a sound cue that says, okay, you gathered them all. And I really don't have to go back and view the little message there, but I can't help it. And while we're here, since we're re-exploring, there's another place we can go as well. We're just gonna drop. We're basically gonna try and 100% taking damage from every enemy in the game. Okay, what I'm gonna try and do by the end of the game is to have taken damage from every single enemy that spawns anywhere in the game. Okay, which I'm already doing pretty good at. I also don't need to hack like every... I'm also going the wrong way. I'm lost. Oh, I'm navigating by memory. I'm losing my thoughts. This is great. This is some quality streaming. Okay. It's all good. It's all good. They all hit. Yeah, all hit run. It's like the opposite of a hitless run, right? It's like the opposite of Steel Soul. I'm gonna Paper Soul it. Can I get killed once by everything in the game? So YouTube, by the way, completely off the topic. I'm just gonna comment on this because, yeah, I'm gonna use this to just do my little topical comedy now. But YouTube keeps serving me up in my recommendations these videos. Did I miss it? There's a break. Oh, it's here. Yeah, there's a breakable wall up here. that I missed the first time through, and that's where I was heading toward. So YouTube keeps recommending me these videos, and they're all like these ludicrous challenge runs, where it's like people doing things like, you know, can I beat Hollow Knight without jumping, or you know how far can we get in Super Mario without touching any buttons ever, right? And it's all these really, really stupid, horrible challenges that are like, what if I tried to make this game the most miserable experience ever? Like, what if I just ruined the entire game? And I have never watched a single one of them, because I find them all terrible. Like, me, when I play a game and when I watch a game, for me it's all about the game design, right? Like this, when they put this game together, they put so much thought into it, and it's such a piece of art. And yeah, okay. Right, I have spells. Right? Like, the last thing I want to do is watch you beat a game in, like, the worst way possible. The most painful, horrible way. And, like, how do you even come up with this shit? Like, what if the one thing that Mario is oh, I hit the wrong button. What if I don't do the one thing Mario is famous for doing? Right? Is it really for entertainment? It's not like for challenging yourself in stupid ways. It's just all for the algorithm. Is that what it is? But you know what? Actually, don't answer. Because if you're not a fan of something, you cannot explain why people like it. Okay? As soon as you're not a fan of something, any explanation you have for why other people would create it or watch it is completely biased and suspect. Even me. Because I would say, I would agree with you. Yeah, it's all just for the entertainment things, right? But I don't know. I don't know why people watch it, because I'm not the sort of person who would actually watch any of that. But what I want to know is, why do I keep getting recommended it? Because I have never watched but a single one of them. I'm also going to... Oh, okay. Hagley is a fan, so I guess I'll get off my high friggin' horse and stop telling other people that they're biased just because I'm biased and terrible. Sorry, Hagley, that's on me. So this is another thing, and this is probably going to get me killed, because I'm playing like shit already. So without any upgrades, this is going to get me killed, but I'll at least show it off once, because there's not really consequences for losing here. Several of the game's bosses leave corpses behind. And those corpses have dream clouds on them. And then you can fight a harder version of that boss. Whoa, okay. I didn't see that. It's like friggin' Trobio in here. Like, I actually can't see his shockwaves. Do I have the brightness turned up too high or something? Anyway, that's it. We're gonna come back for that. But, yeah, we are gonna eventually beat all those guys. Trobio, the worst friggin' boss in that game. Everybody loves Trobio. Fuck Trobio. Trobio is a total interface screw and an obnoxious boss to boot. And a badly designed boss fight. I'll have a lot to say when we get to Trobio. But I'm not allowed to criticize Silksong in this one. Freaking Trobio. I'm going to demonstrate again that every time you go back to the Snail Shaman after you have upgrade a spell. Which, did I even talk about that? Oh, so when we went to the Crystal Mound, while I was blathering on about nothing, we upgraded our Desolate Dive, which I can't do because I don't have any, Okay, so for each spell, there is a normal soul version that is white, and then there is a abyss version or a void version or whatever that is black. And so we have now upgraded the desolate dive, or the terrible dive, or the downward dive, into the desolate dive, or the depressing dive, or the depressed-any dive, whatever it's called. Okay. Is this the secret room? Yeah, we're going to go in here now, and we're going to see what's up. Because this I think I can handle, actually. Not the stalactite, but... Right, the downward dog. Now, this is an area that wouldn't be accessible without the wall claw, except that some people who aren't me can pull off this sort of, oh, I almost actually did it. Can actually use the pogo jumps off the spikes to get up here. But that's not me, because I'm a normal player. So we wait until we have the wall claws. I also like that it reminds you now of the that you can use the look down ability, because it's been so long since the last time you actually need it. So it just kind of reminds you, by the way, you can look down. But also, that's a shortcut so that we don't have to do the little drop around the spikes to do the run back. Which is another interesting thing. For all the shit Hollow Knight gets about its run backs, most of its run backs are not actually that bad. And many of them actually offer opportunities to create shortcuts like this one. I do have a bad feeling about this, though. Oops. I timed that badly. And I hit the wrong spell. And... okay. So this is the Brooding Moloch. You can actually, like, when he does that lava spit, the big lava spit... Okay, that's the wrong time to heal, by the way. Yeah, okay. So let's talk about Brooding Moloch's moveset here. This is awful. I can beat this game. I really gotta stop playing Silksong before I come to this. Okay. So, Brooding Moloch is actually a very interesting boss. Not for its abilities per se, though. I mean, it's a neat little boss, which maybe we'll talk about. But Brooding Moloch is an example of a non-traditional exploration reward. Normally, when you think about exploration rewards in these games, you think about, oh, I found a new power-up, or I found a new ability, or, you know, an optional ability, or whatever. Oh, that's not a shortcut. That's a shortcut back up. I lied. You can't go back. You can't get back down easily. But Brooding Moloch is actually... I mean, even though he does give you a Mask Shard for beating him, the actual reward for finding this secret area is the ability to fight a boss that other players might not find. Well, okay. Oh shit, went the wrong way. Went the wrong way. It was going so well. Ah! Alright. Forgive me if I'm quiet for a moment. I would actually like to not do this a third time. Alright. Okay. See, I can play the game. I just needed one failure. So one of the things that the designers of Hollow Knight understood better than many Metroidvania game designers is that the ability to just finding stuff, even if it's just new areas and new bosses. I don't know why I'm going back here now. Now I've lost track of where I need to go. That in itself is a reward. Is there anything else in... I'm trying to remember if there's anything else in Forgotten Crossroads that I missed. We're not going to go back and do... Okay, so let's move on to Green Path. Where that's it. We're on a full-on re-explore the world for a third time now. Which is exactly the danger. Okay. Because apart from losing the plot, as I discussed earlier, where if you decide, I'm going to go back and start re-exploring and get all the stuff I missed, there is actually a tendency among Metroidvania players to do that every time it's convenient and every time they find a new ability. So that they just keep going back and cycling through the world over and over and over again. And this can eventually actually lead to fatigue with the game's areas. It is especially dangerous if there are certain areas that you end up crossing through multiple times. Forgotten Crossroads being a good example of that. And later on, we're going to see how the designers of Hollow Knight did something very clever to avoid the area fatigue with Forgotten Crossroads, because you do keep crossing through Forgotten Crossroads over and over and over again. Okay. So you don't want to make it too easy to go back and re-explore every time the player gets an upgrade. There's nothing up here. This was not where the bench is. Okay. And in fact, ideally what you want to do is create moments of convenience where you kind of let the player off the leash and say, okay, now is a good time, maybe go check out this previous area or that previous area, since you happen to be here anyway, and kind of loop your critical path around and through those areas. And I kind of think the resting grounds, this moment where the resting ground says, hey, why don't you go try to power up this dream nail? And also, we'll talk about the dreamers in a sec, and also maybe go look for these dreamer things, whatever the hell they are. That's too soon after the last time it led you up through the Forgotten Crossroads and made it convenient for you to re-explore. So I'm going to do some directed re-exploring here, where instead of me wandering around and poking at the whole map, I am going to, by memory, go back to places I know to have things I can access now. Insofar as I can actually remember them. Which is not likely. Okay, so there is something we can get here in Green Path. There are two things, actually. Okay. Now, the other thing is these dreamers. When the game started, it started us off basically with no goal at all. It was basically just you appear in the world and go explore. There is a world of wonder and treasure. Is this... Yeah, this is... No, it's not. I'm confused. Maybe I should put the compass on. Maybe I should take off my money gathering charm that nobody but me actually wears and put the compass on so I can remember where. Okay, I know where I am now. I'm happy where I am. I'm not happy, but that's more just my general state is not happiness. So okay, so we got one up and to the left, and the other one in the stone sanctuary. We're gonna go up to the left first. Okay, so the game started us off with absolutely no goal at all. It's just explore. You're just here in this isolated environment. There is some vague hint that, something terrible is breaking free, and we're probably going to have to deal with it at some point. And then we find the black egg. And that we may connect that to the something terrible that's breaking free in the opening cutscene. But that's about it. And so the game uses its primary exploration loop as a way to keep us moving through the game. It teaches us, and we talked about this, using maps and just the general way the game works. It teaches us go into an area, find the map, look for a boss, look for a new ability that'll lead to a new area, and basically it presents itself as this sort of string of new areas with the occasional opportunity. Oh, we can actually go get that now, can't we? Okay, there's a thingy here, which is just good for money. Okay. Just a string of areas on a windy path with the occasional opportunity to go back and re-explore some old areas that we had previously cleared for new paths. And then the game gives us a vague directive, right? Because we encounter Hornet in the City of Tears, and she tells us, if you want to know what's really going on, look for the grave in ash. Oh, this is going to be bad. You can tell by the music that this is a platforming challenge that I'm going to fail at like a dozen times. Okay, so seek out the grave and I'm just, yeah, that was stupid. I don't need to jump to this platform. I could just crystal dash right from. Yeah. Okay. Okay. You tell from the. Yeah. This. Why am I not? Huh. Really expected that to kill. Oh, wait. This is a trap. Oh, shit. I forgot about that. So this one spot, this is actually that was a really asshole spot. Okay. It's one of the few places where the game is actually kind of a dick there. Okay, because if you use the crystal dash like I did, then you just crystal dash right into those spikes. Whereas what you're supposed to do is actually pogo your way across the enemies. Or if you're someone who's not me, I'd maybe use the crystal dash and then cancel out of the crystal dash and then pogo off the last couple of enemies. But, yeah, and I did. I almost saved it too, didn't I, Chunk? It was almost a cool moment. Alright. But if previous experiences are any indication, I basically need to fail humiliatingly once, and then it will be okay. There's really no need to kill this guy, but I'm gonna. Alright, let's just get through this. Alright. Whoops. Took a little... Yeah, my pogo. This is not going to go so well. I'm going to just keep saying this. I hate... You know what? We're going to do the crystal dash. So here's my problem. All right. Uh-oh. Oh, that was an interesting choice that my shade made there. All right. So my problem is I keep expecting, first of all, the knight to fall at a different speed. No! Damn it! I keep expecting the knight to fall at a different speed because Silksong. The second thing is I keep expecting this break in momentum whenever you pogo off an enemy. Because in Silksong, when you pogo off an enemy, Hornet bounces back up into the air, changes direction, and does a little backflip, which gets you some height and the ability to change direction and adjust. And it's so different. And I know I just keep using that as an excuse. It's a terrible thing to try and play both of these games at the same time. I'm going to have to quit my Silksong playthrough, or else this stream is never going to finish, because I'm just going to keep doing this terrible stuff. That's it. I'm just going to have to leave Silksong unbeaten for now. Also, I keep trying to hold the R2 button to, like, keep dashing. Whoops. That wasn't right. Alright. Dig the music though, right? And it's suddenly like I remembered how to play the game. I just needed to shut up and do it. Okay. Okay. But there's a rancid egg over there, and how can I pass up a rancid egg? Rancid egg is one of the 3 best kind of eggs. Hey, JF2. Okay. I don't remember. What is this one? Oh, this is the first Nail Master. Okay. Good to see you. I'm glad you decided to hang out tonight. Okay. Yeah. Nail Master. Learn the Nail Master's art. I actually love this. I love the Nail Master art. Is this the one I think it is? Is this just Great Slash? Yeah, it is. This is the only one I use, and I like it. I love this one. And it's really useful in the Coliseum. Yeah, which that was my first try too on that one on that platforming challenge. That certainly wasn't the 4th humiliating attempt on that. And you didn't hear me complain about Silksong ruining my muscle memory for the 17,000th time. Okay. Yep. Yeah, that's par for the course, right? Okay. Anyway, the reason I like the Great Slash is because when you hold down your little attack button to charge. You hold down your little attack button to charge up an attack, and then when you release the attack button, you will unleash a more powerful attack with a longer reach. But the other thing it does is that it gives you a moment of hang time in midair. So if you are fighting aerial opponents, you can actually use that to your advantage if you're skilled. So you won't see me use that to my advantage very much. But it's actually a very helpful feature of that ability. Anyway, what were we talking about? I can't remember the Dreamers and the goals of the game, right? Fine, so no goal, then we have, okay, there's the implication that the Hollow Knight is the goal, and that it resides in that black egg, and at some point we're going to have to go and probably fight it, because, you know, this is a video game, and we've already fought a lot of bosses, so we expect that any goal is basically going to... The last goal of the game is going to be a boss. Right, that's not a stretch to realize that. So we're expecting to fight the Hollow Knight, which we saw in the shadow, and he also looks pretty menacing. But again, the game has been pretty hands-off about giving us goals. Oh, I wanna lock in at this bench, right? Because I slept at Shio's bench. Okay. And then it finally gives us the Dream Nail and shows us the Dreamers. And now at that point, the path to at least beating the game is laid out for us. Okay, we have the Dream Nail. We have now seen the Dreamers multiple times. The dialogue has indicated that they want to stop us, and they don't want us to break the seals. And the Moth Lady, she told us that we should go and do exactly that and power up the Dream Nail. And so now gradually the goal of the game is coming together, right? Go confront, beat the Dreamers, fight the 3 Dreamers using the Dream Nail, and then that will break the seal to the Hollow Knight, and then we can go fight the Hollow Knight. And it's pretty cool at the moment it comes in the game. Except that it's kind of tricksy, because now it gives us the 3 masks, and, well, this one's sort of out way in the void. But this one's in between stuff, and this one's also below the resting grounds, and so, you know, and then it sends us back into the world and maybe go explore. So now we may be of the thought, hey, I guess at this point the game wants me to go back now and re-explore all these old areas, power up the Dream Nail, find and beat those 3 Dreamers. Oh, that's Spikes. Okay. Well, I'll come back and talk to you in a second, lady. Go back, you know, find those 3 Dreamers, then, you know, go beat the Hollow Knight. So I'm pretty close to the end of the game now. This was nice. This was a fun 15 hours or whatever it took me to get this far. Okay. And as much as I complain that it wasn't really... I could have sworn there was something up here. No, I'm wrong. And as much as I complain that the game sending you back to re-explore at this point is too soon after the last time it gave you that opportunity, not that it matters, because, we're going to have to deal with No Eyes. No Eyes is interesting. Okay, hold that thought. We're going to fight No Eyes. She's another one of these dream bosses. And the gimmick with her is that you bounce around on these platforms and then fall in the spikes. So her gimmick is she teleports around. She doesn't attack you directly, but she keeps summoning these ghosts. And you kind of have to just dodge the ghosts and find and attack her. The dream bosses, or most of the dream bosses anyway, including this one, were backer contributions. And one of the backer who designed No Eyes, originally the intention was that if you listen to the chanting would tell you which platforms to move to. And the whole thing was basically just a Simon Says game, where she would tell you to move from one platform to the next with a little creepy nursery rhyme. And then you would do that, and then she would just eventually give you her power. but it proved to be a little bit of a challenge to build that. That was great. I fired off 2 shots and neither one came anywhere near her. That said, as interesting as she is as a boss, and it is neat that she is kind of a very passive boss, this is also a really sucky fight. Like, does anybody like her? I don't think anybody likes fighting No Eyes. Nobody looks, oh, it's No Eyes. It's my favorite boss. I'm so glad. You know what? I can't wait. I'm going to get the lantern early and skip right to the... And I hope everybody likes fighting No Eyes, because we're probably going to get to fight her again soon. Oh. Yeah. Honestly, the dream bosses in general, they all share a lot of similarities in the way they're designed. So they all basically, they float around. You know, they all just kind of hover around. And then it's pretty much all just bullet hell projectile. Well, not bullet hell, but it's pretty much just dodge projectile attacks and chase the hovering boss around the arena, looking for your opportunities. You know, they're all pretty much the same, and some of them are really obnoxious too. All right. So now we're back to that thought, right? Where, okay, so now my goal is to go find those 3 bosses. I've explored the world a little bit, and I am right in the area, because I'm here, even though we don't have the map for this area. But I'm pretty close to where Lurian the Monomon is, or whichever name this is. Uh-oh, that was a mistake. And then, oh right, this, which totally fell out of my mind before. Whoops. What the hell is this? I still can't get past this. Right? So maybe there's another way around. There is actually something that we can get down here. There is a reason I'm coming down here. It's not just to pretend like I don't know what's happening and pretend I'm like a clueless new player who thought that this is what I'm supposed to do now. Right. The way is sealed by some unknown power. Okay. I didn't miss the side path, did I? Or is it to the left of the next one? Oh, I hate this place. I hate fog. I hate the explodey things. Of course, there is an easy way to deal with the explodey things. It's called not making them explodey. No, it's not this one. There is a place though. I'm not insane. Oh shoot! I'm thinking of a place in Fungal Deeps or Fungus Canyon or something. Oh, but while we're here, we can deposit more money with our... So we don't lose our money in case we die. Let's deposit more money with our banker friend. Since I am carrying so much money, you just hold all this money. Bark, bark. Everybody knows what's coming, right? Is there anybody watching this now, 10 years after this game's release, that hasn't played it and doesn't know everything in this game? Is there any point in me pretending to be clueless? Okay. Any hoodle. Okay, there is a place I can go here in... No, that leads Deep Nest. Where the hell is... I mean, I beat PS5, but I've never seen that lady in my life. Where the hell is... whatever I'm thinking of. I'm not thinking of anything. Oh, I don't even know what I'm thinking of. My brain is just fried. We're not going back to Deep Nest yet. I mean, we could go to Deep Nest, right? That's really oh. So this is oh. This is actually really interesting. So I'm going to throw this out there. I have always felt that the critical path of the game is you go to the resting grounds and then you smash down into the City of Tears. And then from the City of Tears, you go down into not the Abyss, the whatchamacallit, the Ancient Basin. Oh, right, you're going to explode. You go down into the Ancient Basin, and then fight the broken sibling, yada, yada, yada. Okay. What I have just realized is that... Hold on one second. Yeah, come on up. Biscuit is now here. Biscuit is miserable. Biscuit is in a soft collar to prevent her from licking her tummy because she has seasonal allergies and gets dermatitis or gets tummy irritation. And she started over grooming again, and she's gonna lick her tummy raw and then start chewing it open. And so I had to intervene because it was getting bad to give it a week to heal. And she is absolutely miserable in this collar. So, and she wants to sit with me right now, and I'm not going to take that from her. Okay. Alright, we gotta get back on track here. Okay. Now, leave the microphone alone, though, please, sweetie. I put food in your bowl. I put dinner out for you. It's Gravy Lovers. It's your favorite. I bought you a Gravy Lovers dinner today because of your little sickness. I think she's actually having an allergic reaction to litter. So I changed her litter today, too. And other interesting things about Hollow Knight. We're just picking back up where we left off. Okay, so what I realized, though, is that there are two paths into the Ancient Basin. One is from the right-hand side of the City of Tears, and that's the one I'm going to show. But the other one is if you go to Deep Nest at this point. So this is just a legitimate branching point in the game, and I can't believe I never picked up on that. Where if you discover the path down from the resting grounds, you can go through the right-hand side of the City of Tears that way. Or, since you have no other option, you would go and now explore Deep Nest, get the tram pass, ride the tram into the Ancient Basin, and then make your way up into the City of Tears, the right-hand side of the City of Tears from there, closing the loop that way. Oops, that's not the right path. But what am I doing, though? I want to take the stag thing. Okay. So we're going to go back, and we're going to pick up the... Oh, there is one thing. I'm trying to think. Oh, there was a reason to come in here. There is a reason to come in here and do this. I should have written a script. Because we're looking for dreamers, right? And we're looking for whispering roots. And I remember another monument, and I remember another whispering root. And then I also have an elegant key, and I remember that there's an elegant keyhole. So we're going to go do those things. And this whole night is about not making progress now. This whole night is about the danger of backtracking to previously explored areas and how quickly it leads to you just losing your sense of the game's progression. Okay. But in that which then it makes sense that if that had happened, there are two paths forward. One is down through the resting grounds. The other one is through Deep Nest. So there were two different ways I could recover from being lost. All right. I'll give that to them. But meanwhile, I feel like I should be cutting across the lower path instead of the upper path. But hey, whoops, wrong button. Okay. So there is another monument here with another dreamer. Which is obnoxious, as all the dreamers are. I just don't remember where he is. Thank you, Kate. Kate is telling me I would make a really good Metroidvania world. I appreciate that. Maybe, but then I didn't even realize what was going on with the whole branching path thing, even though I've beaten this game like 17,000 times and put 300 hours into it. He's over here, right? Right? It's not Zero. I can't remember. It's Elder Hamburger. Right? There we go. Because he smashes you with hamburgers. Okay. Yeah. Well, another boring fight. Because again, it's basically about... Oh, right. So he has two basic attacks. The first one is where he just makes some hamburgers appear up above. And then the second one is where the hamburgers drop down in a wave. And the trick to the wave is that you let the first one fall and then dash out from under the next one. Just like I'm doing. Oops. Yeah, this is basically like a modern remake of Burger Time, right? In Soviet Russia, hamburger falls on you. Right? Because in Burger Time, you were trying to drop the hamburgers. Now... And I mean, we could chase him all over creation. But I kind of like to stay near the edge to make it easier to dodge the crashy wave. And I could be using my spell too. And then sometimes he just gets locked into this pattern. Yeah. Damn it. Oh, I don't have any more mana. That's why my spell didn't go off. And the worst part about this is that this fight should not actually be... I don't know why I healed there. I didn't need to. This fight should be super easy. Right? Like, there's nothing to it. Just don't stand under the hamburger. And dash away when the big hamburgers come. And whatever you do, wait until after the hamburgers fall to make an attack that keeps you stuck in midair. Don't try to... Yeah, every once in a while you get a bad pattern. But this fight should be easy. But it's somehow super obnoxious. And he has like 1,000,000 hit points. And I hate the Dreamers. You know what? This game is badly designed. This game has bad bosses. Actually, so the thing with the Dreamers, though, there was sort of a limitation with them. They were, as far as I know, the Dreamers were all backer rewards for the Kickstarter. So, and what that meant was that each backer who had backed at the level where they get to create one of these Dream Warrior bosses, they basically sent Team Cherry whatever they had. They might send a drawing, they might send some notes, they might send a whole big spiel about how they feel the gameplay would work out. And then Team Cherry would actually have to turn that into a boss fight. But this came very late in the project after a lot of the game was already done. And what they got from the different backers was so mixed. So, for example, they got a very extensive write-up about backstory and game mechanics for No Eyes. And then for Gorb, who we'll see later, for Gorb, they got a single picture and just a name. And then for Marmu, which I believe was actually... I can't remember whether it was William or Ari's mother, but one of their mothers submitted Marmu. And it was basically, I think, just a picture and a story about how Marmu was waiting for the queen to come and give her wings. So given that, they really couldn't commit the same sort of level of time and care to creating those bosses as they could to the other bosses in the game. That's completely understandable. And because they had to do a whole bunch of them all at the same time, all at the end of the project, it also stands to reason that they all ended up being this similar formula of just, okay, it's a hovering boss with projectiles and you know, that's the whole thing. And then we'll just do variations on that theme. Now here is where the whispering route is. So. And to be fair, honestly, the Dream Warriors aren't even, like, they're not bad bosses. Alright, let me be clear. I complain about them, you know, and like, No Eyes is certainly... No Eyes is tedious the second time you fight them. Or the second time you fight her, she's tedious. The first time, she's atmospheric and creepy as hell, and it's very, very tense, and it really, really works. You know? And the other bosses, like even Elder Who, like his greatest crime is just having a few too many hit points. And the issue there is more about the fact that maybe it depends on how many sword upgrades you have when you fight these Dream Warriors. Because given that you could be fighting them with no hit point or no sword upgrades or several sword upgrades, that really affects their hit point total. Although there is a hidden mechanic in the game that does let them balance that out, they didn't really, I don't think they made use of it for the Dream Warriors very much. I could look into it. So although the basic enemies have fixed hit points, as far as I know, the bosses in this game, their hit point totals are actually different depending on how many sword upgrades you have when you encounter them. So that effectively, so like, let's say your sword does 5 damage at base, because I don't remember how much damage it actually does, and I really don't care. I know someone's going to throw the number at me like it matters, but let's say at the start of the game your sword does 5 damage, and a boss has 100 hit points. That means you need to learn 20 hits. So then you upgrade your sword, and now it does 10 points of damage. And what they did is that they actually have the hit points adjust based on that sword upgrade. So instead of 100 hit points, and now you only need to do like 10 hits, they make it say it has 150 hit points. So maybe you have to do 15 hits. Not quite as improved as 10, but still fewer. And the idea behind that was so that they could make the sword upgrades feel significant, especially against the mooks that you fight in general throughout the game. Oh, there's a Whispering Root in here. I want the Whispering Root and the Elegant Key. Okay. So there seems to be a discussion in the chat right now about the lesson of not adding fan content or not adding content at the end. And you know what? Both of those lessons sound good in theory. And it's like, oh, we don't like the Dream Warrior bosses, and let it be a lesson in just never do this. You know what? The reality is that you don't always get to decide, first of all, well, we're not going to add a bunch of content toward the end of the project. Sometimes that just happens because of the project. And the other thing is, don't add fan content. Well, fan content is a very, very strong driver of engagement and support. You could be giving up a really major way to energize fans. You know, it's one of the most attractive rewards you can give on a Kickstarter is the whole, hey, design a boss or design an NPC or design a something. I've lost track of where the essences were. So the real rule is, you know, you do the best with what you got. You know, I'm not going to, and again, I'm not going to say that all of the Warrior Dream bosses are bad, any more than I'm going to say that all of the bosses that are actually in the game that aren't the Warrior Dreams are good. Some bad bosses got through, relatively speaking. And some of the Warrior Dreams are not terrible. And I really don't think any of them are actually super bad. I think when you compare them to the other bosses in the game, they do feel very lackluster. But they're also not really bosses. They're more sort of mini-bosses. They're mini-boss / collectibles. So they're not even on the same scale as a boss to begin with. So, you know, just to defend the approach here a little bit. But now we should be near the Elegant Keyhole. And... right. And I have a feeling this is going to be bad, isn't it? Alright. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to take... oof. This is just going to be bad. For a second. Especially because I was trying to think of what to say. And I have completely forgotten how to fight this boss. Alright. Alright, that was my one terrible... okay, now I remember. Even though this is the second time I fought him, because he's a refight. Right? Though he does add the little floaty boogans. Alright. This may be one of those lock-in moments. Do I use usually have a pale ore at this point? Have I usually got... Oh, anyway. Yeah, this is just awful. Okay. Okay. This may be a shut up and lock in boss. This shouldn't be that hard. None of this should be hard. Oops. It's the friggin' floaty boogans that get you, right? Which is why I swear that I'm used to having a pale ore at this point. Because I could swear that the floaty boogans die in one hit. Damn it. There we go. That was way closer than it should have been. But absolutely worth it to get the upgrade for the only spell in the game. Ugh, sorry about that. I'm really sorry. I'm making a hash of this whole thing. And then by the time we get around to Silksong, I'll have forgotten how to play that. Okay. Anywho. Alright, so I was talking about the boss damage thing, right? So, they changed the hit points that the bosses have, and then he was defeated by the elevator. They changed the hit points that the bosses have based on how many nail upgrades that you have. But most of the lack of visible health bars are a design choice. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, okay, so first of all, I'm going to say this. Like, and I know this is going to sound more sarcastic than I mean it. But I have to say it. Everything is a design choice. Okay? Every choice is a design choice. It's not like at this point visible health bars or invisible health bars. It's not like in this day and age, visible health bars have not been invented yet. Team Cherry is aware that they are a thing that you can do in games. Alright, we're going to go back to the resting grounds now and pick up the path. So, yeah, they decided not to include them. Okay. I personally, I am going to defend the not visible health bars. I think that you don't need visible health bars. And I think in a game like this, I think they actually would work against it. Okay. Because oh, okay. I need to think a little bit more before I make an argument here. Alright, I'll come back to the visible health bars question some other time. But what I am gonna say is, I think too much is made of games that choose not to have visible health bars. Like Hollow Knight and Silksong, and also like Cuphead. Cuphead also famously got a lot of shit because they didn't do visible health bars. Right, where you only got to see how close you were to beating the boss at the end. And so one of the things that this game... Can I not get up here without the doubly jump? Oh, no, I can. Okay. So one of the things that this game does is that many of the bosses are phased bosses. So that when you cross certain hit point threshold, the boss actually changes. It gets a different move set, it starts moving faster, or it otherwise... I see, by the way... Oh, shit, I didn't mean to accept the delicate flower. I was distracted by the chat. Because the chat is talking about, well, just have, like, the enemy animation show how much damage the thing has taken. And it's like, yeah, okay, so what you're saying is visible health bar. Okay, like, if an enemy has... if the enemy is showing... has some visual tell... as to how damaged it is, it has a visible health bar. It doesn't have to be a literal health bar. It's the same thing. Okay, so so what you're saying is a diegetic visible health bar. What I'm saying is you don't need a visible health bar. Okay, and in fact, in some games, the visible health bar is actually too much. Okay, especially because this game goes for phased bosses. Okay, so that as you fight most bosses, they change in various different ways. Even the minor bosses do. Like the longer you fight No Eyes, the more ghosts she spawns. And Nero or whoever the one dreamer was, he goes from having 2 nails hovering to 4 nails hovering, So the first thing that this game has is staged bosses, is phased bosses, where most bosses have 2 or 3 phases, whether the phase is a visible transformation or whether it is just a change in their attack patterns that it is left to you, the player, to read. Okay, that was not great. Yeah, I know, sweetie. Hi. Maybe I should call it a night here. I know how miserable you are right now. Please stop. I'm gonna mute for a second. That's not... Okay. I know we're only at the 90-minute mark, and I usually go for about 2 hours. I am going to call the stream here for tonight, and I will be back next Sunday, same time, so that I can go tend to Little Biscuit's needs, because she is very upset and miserable tonight. So I feel really bad. I do not feel, though, to answer Razakal's question, that phases are just a visible health bar in the same way that enemy break... Or, you know what? Biscuit has settled down. We'll keep going for a bit. I don't feel that that's a visible health bar, the phase change. Okay, and it's for an important reason that requires the player to be attentive to the enemy's moves and the enemy's moveset and patterns, and then interpret progress based on that. Okay? The other thing is, while phased bosses does imply progress, and it does indicate progress. You do want to indicate progress, right? And that's what changing. Yeah, I'm just going to keep doing that. That's what changing staged enemy. Sorry. Yeah, I know. Okay. Phased enemies indicate progress by changing as the fight goes on. But also, as they change, they tend to become more dangerous. The tension rises through the fight. Okay? Because, it's the enemies, as they get new move sets and they change, they don't become less dangerous. They always become more dangerous. They always become scarier. They're making you react to new moves and adapt to the way the enemy has changed. Whereas if you have a visible health bar, all that is telling you is that every attack you land is getting you closer to safety. It is making the boss easier. Every hit you can see right on the screen, either because there is a visible health bar or because the boss itself changes in some way to show that you're wearing it down, that you are actually making the boss easier and relieving the tension with every attack. And what you want to do is have a climax where the tension rises until the moment the boss is actually dead. So a visible health bar works against that. So using staged bosses gets you what the visible health bar does. It shows the player that they're making progress, but it doesn't bleed tension the way watching the enemy's health bar diminish does. It also prevents the player from becoming more reckless as the fight goes on. Because if you think about it, when an enemy has just one more hit left, and you have plenty of health left, at that point you say, you know what, I'm just going to run in there and I'm going to land these last 2 hits and then just decisively end the fight. Right? I'll tank the damage here and just end the fight there. I can just make that trade. Whereas if you don't know how much health the enemy has until they're dead, you can't ever make that trade. You can't ever say, okay, I'm safe enough now where I'm just going to grab the last hit. Okay? So from a standpoint of both tension and how you want the end of the fight to feel, you don't want players in that state of making that decision. And yes, I know that there are, because I saw Roscal bring it up, that in Dark Souls there is the classic the classic incident where you decide to go for that trade the damage so that you can get that one last hit, and you screw it up, and then you end up getting obliterated instead of finishing the boss off. And as hilarious as that is still not a decision you ever want a player to be making. You don't want them making that calculation where it is now just safe for me to get hurt so that I can end this fight. Okay? That is never a feeling you want a player to have in a boss fight. You always want the player to feel like the boss fight is dangerous until it is won, and getting more dangerous until it is won, not less dangerous. The other thing that this game has, and Silksong does this even better, is a stagger mechanic where many bosses, after they have taken a certain number of hits... Oh, I bought all your charms out already, didn't I? After they've taken a certain number of hits in a row, they become... There's like a timer, I think. But they become staggered, which can either give you an opportunity to heal, which is valuable, or it can give you an opportunity to land a few extra hits without being punished for it. So that's sort of your inertia mechanic, where if you press the advantage against the boss repeatedly, effectively multiple times, now you have gained some sort of benefit, whether it is healing or whether it is the ability to land some attacks that can't be punished. So that's your inertia, and the momentum is that the boss is getting more dangerous as you keep wearing them down, because they're developing new moves and new move sets and going through transformations because they're staged. And a visible health bar would undermine all of that, especially the second time you fight the boss, assuming that you didn't beat them fully the first. I'm going back to the bench, and we're going to end the stream here, but I'm going to finish my thought. If you don't beat the boss fully the first time, and then you go back to fight them again, you may now know where one of the transformation thresholds are, and then you can watch the health bar and say, okay, now I'm going to kick it into this phase, and you can start gaming that. And that's another thing that you don't necessarily want the player to do, because that's exploitable. Like, I can hold back my big attack until right before I push the boss into the next threshold, and then land that big attack to push them deep into the next phase instead of chipping them into the next phase, or having, there are ways to strategically game it. And you don't want that stuff available, because all of that undermines the way the boss fights are supposed to feel in a game like this and the way they're designed. So, did Team Cherry articulate all of this and have it all in their heads when they designed this? I don't necessarily think that. But is that the reason why not having health bars in this game works? Yes. That's why, let's be honest. Not having visible health bars did not hurt this game one bit. It's still pretty much on the top. Everybody loves it. So, anyway. Alright, with that said, I am going to call it a night. I am going to go take care of my kitty. I'm sorry this one was a little bit distracted, disjointed, and ending a little bit slow. I'm also sorry that I didn't put out a reminder. I will make it a habit to put out weekly reminders for all streamed and Discord events, including for those of you who are frenemy tier supporters of me at theangrygm.com, on Patreon, or on Subscribestar. Tomorrow night, we do have a Club Slapdash update on the Slapdash project and a deep dive into some Slapdash mechanics. That is at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time in the Slapdash event channel in the Discord. All right. Everybody have a good night. Everybody, thank you for your support and encouragement. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for the interesting prompts to discuss. And I will see you all whenever I see you all, unless I see you before then.